cease, cease, cease. Let's break down the word cease. As a verb, cease typically means to stop something from happening or being done, such as the rain will cease soon, or we need to cease all operations until further notice. It can also mean to come to an end, like the party will cease at midnight. In terms of common usage, cease is often used in formal or official contexts, such as in announcements, policies, or regulations. It's not typically used in everyday conversations or casual writing. One special note about its usage is that cease can sometimes be confused with stop. But while stop is more general and can refer to temporary interruptions, cease usually implies a more permanent end or complete shutdown of something. For example, if a factory stops production for the night, it's stopped, but if it permanently closes down, it ceases operations. In a formal setting such as a court of law, you might use the sentence, "The judge ordered the construction company to cease all work on the project until further notice," where the context is that there's an ongoing dispute between parties, and the judge needs to temporarily halt operations. In contrast, in a casual conversation with friends at a coffee shop, you might say, "I'm going to have to cease watching Netflix for tonight because I promised my sister I'd help her move," where the context is making plans or giving up on leisure activities. In a business or academic setting such as a company report or research paper, you could write, "The company will cease production of its flagship product and redirect resources to develop a new innovative line," where the context is reporting on significant changes in operations or market strategy. So, you want to learn about a word that means stopping something from happening or continuing, right? Well, let me explain. The main characteristic of this concept is that it's about bringing an end to an activity, process, or situation. It's like hitting the pause button on something. Imagine you're doing something and suddenly, you decide to stop doing it. That's basically what this word means. Now, similar concepts or synonyms for this idea might be words like halt, stop, or even put on hold. As for how it's used, think of situations where you need to bring an end to something, like a project, a habit, or even just an activity. That's when this word comes in handy. Coherent, coherent, coherent. Let's talk about the word coherent. As a language teacher, I'd be happy to break it down for you. The word coherent is an adjective, which means it describes a noun or pronoun. In common usage, coherent refers to something that makes sense and is logically connected, either in meaning or in structure. For example, if someone says something coherent after a long conversation, it means they've managed to gather their thoughts and make sense of what's been said. It can also refer to written or spoken language that flows well and is easy to follow, like a coherent essay or presentation. One special note about its usage is that coherent often contrasts with incoherent, which describes something as nonsensical or disjointed. For instance, someone who speaks incoherently might be hard to understand due to using unrelated words or concepts. So you're looking to use the word coherent in different contexts. I'd be happy to help with that. A formal usage of coherent would be, "The professor's lecture was coherent and easy to follow," which made it a great starting point for our understanding of the complex subject matter. Here, context is key as we're talking about an academic setting where clarity and coherence are crucial for effective learning. Moving on. In a casual conversation usage, you might say something like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that confusing plot twist. I wish it was more coherent so I could actually care about what happened next. In this example, the context is relaxed and informal, with an emphasis on everyday discussion where opinions and personal thoughts are shared freely. Lastly, in a business or academic usage, you might use coherent like this. After conducting our market research, we noticed that the data was initially disjointed, but after reorganizing it, we were able to present a coherent picture of consumer behavior. Here, context is more professional and specialized as we're talking about analyzing complex information for business or academic purposes. So, you're trying to figure out what coherent means. Well, think of it like this. When you're talking or writing about something, and your ideas all fit together in a way that makes sense, without any confusing or unrelated parts, that's pretty much what coherent is. Mainly, it refers to the idea that someone's thoughts are organized and easy to follow, so others can understand them. If you're looking for similar concepts or synonyms, people also use words like clear, logical, and organized to describe something that's coherent. As for how it's used, well, when you're explaining a complex idea, writing an essay, or even just having a conversation, being able to communicate in a way that's coherent is super helpful. It helps others get what you're trying to say and avoid getting lost in your words. Coincide. 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 So, you want to know about the word coincide? Well, first let me tell you that it's a verb, which means it's an action word that shows what someone or something is doing. In common usage, people say coincide when two or more things happen at the same time or in a similar way. For example, I was thinking of calling my friend today and then I got their phone call. What a coincidence. The key thing to note here is that coincidence has a slightly different meaning from coincide. While a coincidence is an unexpected event that happens by chance, coincide specifically refers to the fact that these events are happening at the same time. Also, be careful not to confuse it with concur, which means agreeing or having a similar opinion. They're not exactly the same thing. Here are 3 practical example sentences using the word coincide, along with brief context explanations. I'm planning to visit my family in New York next month, and it just so happens that my aunt's birthday party is scheduled to take place on the same day, which is quite convenient. It will be nice for me to coincide my trip with the celebration. You see, our project schedules had been off sync, but now we've managed to coincide the client meetings for all teams, making it easier for everyone to coordinate and ensure a smooth rollout. The university's academic calendar coincides perfectly with the new semester that begins in late August, which is why I'm excited to start my graduate studies on time. The conference keynote speaker had initially planned to arrive on Wednesday evening, but he was able to coincide his travel schedule with the opening night reception, giving him a great opportunity to mingle with attendees and generate buzz about his talk. So you want to learn about this concept, right? Well, when we talk about things happening at the same time or in sync with each other, that's basically what this idea is all about. Imagine 2 clocks ticking together perfectly. They're saying the same thing and doing it simultaneously. This happens when events, dates, or even ideas align or match exactly, like 2 puzzle pieces fitting together just right. It's used to describe situations where everything falls into place at once, making it easier to understand or see how things connect. People also think of words like happen at the same time or go together perfectly when they're trying to explain this idea, and that's because these concepts are very similar.